Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood esoteric style. What? Love it, baby. Mental architecture today, part 5. Yeah, baby. Breathing death. Slaves. That's what a lot of these people think we are. Play this song. I'm a heavy metal guitarist. Bass shows off mental architecture. Architecture, part 7. Architecture. The art or science of building or construction. So mental architecture. So architecture means the art or science of building or construction, and mental architecture is the art of building the mind. The art of building the mind. So, it's brain building, basically. We're going to step back a little bit. Better. Didn't want my head to get chopped off there. So, the brain. That was a much smoother transition than the last time when I played Four Horsemen. So this is going to be a little longer on mental architecture. I think this is the most important section. At first I thought it was telementation, but I think without a good mental architecture, without constructing your mind, without building the mind, telementation is meaningless. So the brain is the machinery of the person and manifestation of the mind that transforms the mentative energy. And this lesson, mind building and brain building, will be synonymous. So that's essentially what it is. It's that simple. Mind building, brain building. And remember, the brain is just the transmitter and receiver. This is my monoatomic gold and various other noble elements. I've changed my schedule around, so now I'm doing my activity at night. Brain building, the building of cells in specialized regions of the brain. So brain centers can be developed by proper exercise. If you exercise certain parts of the brain, then those parts will develop. Pretty simple principles. Brain centers can be trained and restrained. Desired qualities can be developed, and undesirable ones can be restrained. I know that for a fact. I've had some very bad habits that I restrained. I know I had a temper. I don't have a temper anymore. I know little things like I had something today that back in the day would have really just thrown me for a loop, and it didn't even bother me. Affirmations and auto-suggestions are only 1/3 of the work necessary for the best results. One needs visualization and a physical acting out of the mental suggestion or affirmations. So mental states take form in physical action, and physical action produces mental states. I'll read that again. Mental states take form in physical actions, and physical action produces mental states. I said that earlier. So if you want to produce a certain mental state within you, then you act out that mental state physically. So if you're angry, and you want to be calm, you would breathe slower, and you would have to make calm gestures, and you would slow everything down. We've already gone over that in previous sections. If one engages in physical action that corresponds to a mental state, one will impress that mental state on themselves through the physical action. By constantly acting out a certain mental state, you develop the brain cells in the brain that correspond to that mental state. So if you want to, so with all my breathing and stuff that I do, I develop that calming mental state. So by doing my breathing, or by yoga, or just walking around very calm and confident, positive, which we've discussed positivity. So if you do these things, you're just going to develop that mental state, and it'll get harder and harder, and then the anger mental state, or that tense mental state, will go away, and it'll be very hard. That part of the brain won't be very developed, the anger part and the fear part, and it'll be harder to get you, it'll be harder to get you angry or to be in fear. And one thing I want to say, in other sections I've talked about how fear is a sin. Because I was thinking about this. If you're afraid of something, or you're in fear, I don't want that to be, that should not be invalidated. You should feel your fear, and you should bless it and let it go. But to say fear is a sin, I think that's kind of, what I mean by that is we want to kind of try to get rid of the fear response. And I'm not saying if you are afraid of something that you shouldn't feel that. There's a reason that you have that fear. So to say it's a sin, I think, was kind of a mistake. But what I mean is that we don't want to let things. We don't want to be in fear. We want to develop our calm. But it's okay to feel it. So I don't want to invalidate those feelings or suppress those feelings, because that'll cause other problems, is what I'm trying to say. So I just want to make that clear. That's not really relevant to what we're talking about, but I wanted to make that clear. Fear is not a good thing. And anger isn't either, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't feel them. We just want to transmute those and turn it into something positive. But they're both legitimate, and you have the right to feel them, but let's transmute those negative emotions and turn them into something positive. That's kind of the best way to explain that. But anyway, back to physical action and mental state. By restraining the expression of an emotion, which I just, we can frequently throttle it. By inducing an expression, we can often cause its allied emotion. So that speaks for itself. Go through the outward movement of the dispositions we wish to cultivate. So I wish to cultivate calm and confidence, so I always walk around calm and confident. Even if at some point I wasn't calm and confident, eventually you get there. In my former life, I had a huge ego, but I actually wasn't very confident, to be honest with you. At this point in my life, I don't have very much of an ego at all. Ego is not necessarily a bad thing. You have to have an I am, but now I'm more confident and less of that me type ego. I am, but not me. That's the difference. Cultivating and how to cultivate and restrain mental qualities. If one wishes to cultivate a quality in which they are deficient, one must think about it, dream about it, concentrate upon it, live it. Live it. Create a mental picture of it and hold on to the visualized image of it, always with you. Act out the physical manifestation of it. Play the part. So if you want to be a certain way, play the part. Even if you're just acting, eventually you'll develop the cells in that brain area. Eventually you'll develop the quality of mind that you want to achieve. To repress a quality, cultivate the opposite quality of the undesirable quality. As the undesirable quality will be crowded out. Kill the negative by cultivating the positive, but don't forget to act the part. So that's how you would get rid of a negative trait, is you would cultivate the opposite of it and act out the part, And the point of that is not to be fake or phony, and I think I get to this later in my notes, but I'll explain it now. It's not that you want to be fake or phony, it's just that while you're trying to cultivate a certain trait, you want to act out the part. The law of autosuggestion. One of the most active agencies employed in mind building. It covers affirmations, denials, statements, or self-impression. Two parts of the mind play at the same time. So there's the part of the teacher and the master, and then the part of the scholar and the pupil. And with regards to that, I always like to be balanced between that. This isn't really relevant to this per se, but I always like to, if you learn something, then you should teach it, because if you teach it, that means you really know it. So I always like to be the student and the teacher at the same time. The mind can collect data and information and systematically turn it into knowledge through the mind and use it when needed. Repetition is important as it leaves an impression on the mind. Constant affirmation and statement made to oneself will manifest in actual conditions. And this also applies to a lot of the stuff that goes on that, if something, I beat a dead horse, but if you hear long enough, you have to wear the mask and it's going to protect you, then you're going to think that eventually, if you don't protect yourself, you're going to believe it's true whether it is or not. Doesn't even have to be that example. It can be with anything that's said in the public. If it's said enough, then a lot of people believe it's true, whether the facts prove it or not. Visualization, autosuggestion, and acting out the part will reap a tenfold harvest if combined. So you want to visualize, you want to autosuggest, and you want to act out the part of the trait that you want, or the opposite of the trait that you want if you're trying to get rid of a negative trait. So if combined, if you do the visualization, the autosuggestion, and acting out the part, it'll work miracles on you. I can attest to this. So if someone in fear should do affirmations of strength, visualize fearlessness, and have an outwardly fearless demeanor. So even if you're a little scared of something, or you don't want to do it and you fear it, outwardly express confidence. So, say you have knots in your stomach and you're really scared, stand tall, breathe slowly, slow your cadence, and that'll go a long way in reducing the fear. Put suggestions in your mind that are positive, and that'll do the job. That'll go a long way. Now you have to repeat it, and it's hard to do the first time, but you develop that mind center. You develop the brain cells that correspond to that action, and you'll kill off the fear response, the sympathetic nervous system. Also, when not going specifically into a situation that requires autosuggestion, visualization, and outward action, do mental therapeutics. That's interesting. That's a good point. And treat yourself to attain the desired mental state and physical characteristics. Positive. Positive. Fearless. Now, let me be clear. Just because I say that you should always be positive and fearless doesn't mean you shouldn't know the truth, even if something by most people's standard would be scary or fearful. Always seek the truth. Just always remain fearless and always remain positive in the face of that truth that might be negative. That's all. So people say, Brad's talking about something that's evil, bad going on with the government. He's just being negative. No, I'm not being negative. The truth is the truth. The truth exists whether you like it or not. It's just how you respond to it. The way I like to respond to things is I like to spread the truth, because if enough light is spread on something that's going wrong, that's immoral, or that's not right, then we're spreading light on it, and perhaps we can change it. Right now, the way things look, not a lot of people are kind of really looking into the deeper things of what's going on into this world. And that's not good. And a lot of people say, that's just negativity. And, no, you have to know what's really going on. I'm not saying, go into a state of anxiety over it, but you want to remain positive. You want to remain fearless. That doesn't mean avoidance. Two different things. I just want to make that clear. Just because I'm saying be positive and fearless doesn't mean I'm saying avoid things. In fact, quite the contrary. when it's your duty to get into something that might actually be fearful and be what we would call negative, what I'm saying is you go in there, you be positive and you be fearless if you have a duty to do something. So, in what respect shall I make myself over? That might be a question you have. How do I make what specifically should I do to make myself over? That's only you can decide that. That's obviously not up to me or anybody else around you. Not even your psychologist, not your doctor. The only one who knows what you need is you. Remember that. Whether you have a doctor or if you have a psychologist or a psychiatrist or this or that, remember, they're not you. That you have to know what you want. I'm not big on these, I've been to all of these kinds of things, and I'm not big on them. I think some of the people that I've experienced in these things were meant well and were trying to be good at what they do, but I know that I'm the only one that can take care of my health. I'm the only one that can take care of my psychological welfare. It's not up to anybody else, and I have all the techniques to do everything I need myself. I'm not saying it's not good to talk to somebody, but I have a couple people I can do that with. So in what respect shall I make myself over? It's up to you. You need to do a self-examination. One must figure out what traits must be built up and which must be restrained. I did that without knowing it, without having this kind of a structure. This stuff came to me after I kind of had already done that. If I had this, it would have been a lot easier for me, but I didn't. But I intuitively kind of did this stuff. What degree of quality do I possess? The answer is up to you. So here are some faculties that you can assess. So I want to give you some things that you can look at in your life. And some of these I even need to, I'm not saying I'm perfect. Some of these, I look at some of these and I need to work on some of them. Some of them that you could work on are sexuality. These are these are faculties to be assessed. Sexuality, friendship, love of life, physical appetites, cautiousness, firmness, faith, integrity, ingenuity, imitation, sense of shape, sense of color, identity, ideality, mirthfulness, sense of size, sense of order, memory, language, judging human nature, parental love, stick-to-itiveness, determination, secretiveness, sense of locality, musical taste, comparison, domestic quantities, love of places, fighting quality, acquisitiveness, love of praise, integrity, veneration, self-esteem, hope, sympathy, sublimity, observation, sense of weight, sense of number, sense of time, originality, and agreeableness. So those are some of the things that you could assess. I certainly haven't gone over all of those, but I think some of them I might want to look at, even for myself. Every one of the faculties may be increased or decreased with practice. The method of architecture, i.e. the triple method, which enables anyone to make themselves over. This is done by activating brain cells in certain areas which a faculty or quality is manifested. The cause of growth of brain cells is the desire of the individual manifesting it along its physical lines. Why? So, at first, when unaccustomed to something, you become tired quickly. But eventually, once you start developing these faculties, relief is sent through nutrition and development, so the requirements of the need can be met. By increasing demand when you increase demand, and increasing power is needed, and the way to make the demand for new brain cells to manifest certain qualities or a higher degree is through autosuggestion, visualization, and acting out the part. So at first, it's like lifting weights. As far as, changing your faculties. At first, something's going to be very hard. So if I'm doing bicep curls, when I first start doing them, it's going to be hard because those cells aren't developed. The muscle cells aren't hypertrophied and aren't activated enough, so I can't lift heavy weight. Then as I keep doing it, not only can I lift heavier weight, but I can do more repetitions. It's the same thing with your brain cells and the location where some of the faculties lie in the brain. As you start developing those brain cells, your faculties will increase, and you can put more and more stress on them. and you can do more for a longer period of time. Pretty simple, actually. And the three qualities, remember, the three main things with mental architecture are autosuggestion, visualization, and acting the part. Three very important things to remember. So now we're going to go into the qualities of a magnetic man. We have seen that the magnetic man was what the magnetic man was like. Now we try to resemble him, right? That's what we want to do. First, he has so first we're going to go over what the magnetic man looks like. He has strong desire. He knows how to want and does not wish. So he knows how to want. Most only want half-heartedly. The magnetic man wants wholeheartedly. The flame of desire burns within him. Magnetic men do not beg, they demand. They're strong and masterful animals and have a strong desire, while ones that are preyed on have a lack of desire. They are weak and spiritless, and so it is with most men these days. These desires seem animalistic by some, but men it can involve high desire. So sometimes these desires can seem like it's lower, but to the magnetic man a magnetic man can have higher desire and aspiration, ambition, and love. I like to think that I have higher desire, aspirations, and ambition and love. I like to think that. I don't seek so much materialistic things. So you can be magnetic, and you can either seek lower things in life and take advantage of people and be magnetic. That's one way to do it. Or you can have higher aspirations and be magnetic. Here are some words associated with desire: wish, want, need, mind, inclination, animus, propensity, willingness, longing, appetite, keen, and thirst. Desire underlies all action and restraint of action. All feelings that drive one to action are desires. Without desire, one ceases absolutely from action. Before every action, there must be a desire. So even those who renounce desire and I've said this before, are acting in a form of subtle desire because they desire to not desire. To desire certain things is in accordance with natural law. Not only by doing things is desire manifest, but the same is true in not doing things. So so if you're lazy, you're desiring to be lazy. So that's a form of desire. Nothing can be created or manifest without desire. The universe is manifest the operation of the law of desire and will, both of which are phase modalities of one law. The greater the manifestation of vitality, the greater the force of desire. Remember, there are wise and unwise desires, and the positive man distinguishes between the two and governs himself accordingly. We won't get into self-government. That's not the topic of the show, but that's a big one, especially given the tyranny and the authoritarians in government today. But that's another topic. How to develop desire force. Proceed to hold up the mental image of the things that to be desired, and the desire force flows within him and through him. Desire force is always inherent to the person, as is willpower. Both need an incentive to action. Desire flows out and manifests itself in response to an object. So you have to desire something. You have to hold up the mental image of what you desire. That's part of desire force. Mental image to awaken desire. The clearer the mental image or the object of desire, the greater the degree of desire manifested. Using the threefold method in desire. So, use autosuggestion, visualization, or acting the part. Excuse me. Use a treatment to develop your desire. So, in mental therapeutics, we went over treatment. You can do a treatment to develop your desire if you desire to desire something. Or to visualize what you desire, see yourself having attained the object of desire, act out the idea of gaining headway and moving on to attainment. If you want success, act out the part of a successful man or woman. Desire should be developed so that your will may be called into play and that your desire force may be set into activity and thus begin in its drawing or attracting work. Desire and will are two phases of the underlying force. Both must be developed for best results. Keep the flame of right desire ever burning brightly. Make sure you want things enough. So that's important. You got to want things. You got to desire it. So I'll go to working out. You know, a lot of people have trouble getting into the gym. If you don't desire it enough, you're not going to do it. If you don't desire to be healthy, then you're not going to do it. You have to have that desire. And that's just an example. You know, whether it's you want billions of dollars or whatever it is that you want, you have to have the desire first. I would also say, especially with the $1 billion, you have to have a good plan. It's not all about willpower. Having a good plan is part of willpower. Desire is the soul of the law of attraction. And there goes Luke. You're being silly, Luke. Come on. See, he's being magnetic. He obviously desires something. See? Desire. He desires to be pet, so he's going to be annoying until he gets pet, and he gets it. He's a magnetic dog. Anyway, the magnetic will. Now we're going to talk about the magnetic will. The secret to will lies in determination and persistence. You must acquire it must acquire attention and attentiveness, tenacious attention, as we call it. Patiently dwell upon a thing until you accomplish it. Concentrate your will upon a thing and do not get distracted or wander off. That's very important. Cultivate stability, decision, perseverance, tenacity, stick-to-itiveness. So those are some of the things, the character traits you have to cultivate. Stir up desire, then stir up will, and then do it. Do it. Habit and will. The next section, habit and willpower. First, overcome the weak will. Rule number 1, get control of your physical channels of expression and master the physical expression connected with the mental state you're trying to develop. For example, for confidence and fearlessness, control your shoulders, throw them back manually, head up, eyes glazing straight ahead, gaze fearlessly, walk firmly, strong voice, strong tones, which compel attention and inspire. So compel that attention, inspire. Do I seem right now like somebody who isn't? You see what I'm saying? So even if you're not, I'm actually confident, but even if you're not confident, you know, do these things and you know, you'll cultivate the trait you desire. Rule 2, learn to concentrate. This will give you focus on your object of desire. Cast out all thoughts not in harmony with your desire. At first, cast out people not in tune with your desire, and eventually you'll be strong enough that these people won't even affect you. I remember it wasn't even too long ago, I couldn't have people in my life that would say certain things because it would disturb me. And now it doesn't, that's the goal, is to cultivate your traits so that nothing disturbs you. I'll give you an example. I see a lot of people, and some of you may even watch this, with this whole Democrat and Republican thing. And I've seen people actually state that they wanted to get rid of friends on the other side, and that I've heard of people unfriending others on Facebook because they don't like the things that they're saying. I can understand why that's done, because I kind of did it last year. But I think you want to cultivate your ability to concentrate and your ability to worry about what you're doing, so as not to let somebody else upset you so much that you get rid of them. Also, another thing about something like that specifically is that shows like that there's a lot of groupthink. You know, unless you think like me, I'm not willing to be your friend. And then that's something that I personally don't think is very good. I'm only going to be friends with you if you think exactly like me. I would rather have people that think different from me, and we can have a discussion. You know, and if you disagree with me about something, because I've never had anybody actually disagree with me about anything. You know, I come disagree with, let's have a discussion. You know, let's not tell people what to think and what to do, but if we disagree on something, let's have a discussion. I think I'm pretty reasonable. Anyway, acquire will habit. Repeat the effort of will along the lines of habit Exercise your will. Repeat. Practice over and over and over and over and over. And it will become a habit, which is a form of an impression. Rule 4. The greatest struggle is at the formation of a new habit. Once the first battle is won, the after fights become mild skirmishes. So once you develop the brain cells or the proper neurology in the certain regions, it's no longer as tough of a battle, because whatever habit or trait you're trying to induce becomes it's practically a habit. So that's rule 4. Rule 5. Endeavor to fix a habit as a strong mental impression by any and every means that suggest that themselves to you. When this habit becomes firmly impressed in your mind, you will find it natural and second nature. Rule 6. Look before you leap. Use reason and judgment to decide if something is right. Once you decide to go to the finish. Once you decide to do something, go with it. So take your time in deciding to do something, but once you do, go hard. Place your hand upon the plow and don't look back, in other words. Master moods and passions. Guard yourself against yourself and against the desire and will of others. Children, savages, and undeveloped individuals have no mastery over themselves on the desires and are affected by every wave from within and without. So people that haven't developed themselves, develop their minds and develop their will, develop their desire, are easily swayed by anything that goes on both internally and externally. Like I said, I had something that came in today that a year ago, the truth is it wouldn't have affected my life at all, really, but I would have let it get to me. And today I actually laughed about it, because it is kind of silly. And a lot of times the things that we actually let affect us are really silly and don't really have that much of a relevance in our lives. True relevance. The individual learns to inhibit certain emotional states. Even if we can't prevent a feeling, we can prevent it from spreading by inhibiting the accompanying movement. Rule 7. Keep your mind filled with the mental pictures of the thing which you wish to become a habit. This will add to desire, and desire will lead to will. Feminine desire asks masculine will, and will gratifies the request. So the feminine is the desire to do something. I want this, and then the will, which is masculine, goes and does it. Very interesting, right? Rule 8. Act out the habit as often and as well as possible. Pretty straightforward. Rule 9. Practice doing disagreeable things. This will strengthen the will. By doing something you don't like to do, you strengthen your will. I agree with that. I've done a lot of that. I don't really like to go into public and argue with stores and Uber and gyms over wearing masks. But do you know what? It was uncomfortable, but it strengthened my will. It really did. Rule 10. Cultivate fixity of purpose. If you're of strong will, you will see an object ahead. The man of strong will see an object ahead of him, and if he wants it hard enough, then fixes his will on it and holds it there while moving to it in a strength line. Always remember that kind of didn't make much sense. My notes are I must have gotten sloppy here. But cultivate your purpose and stay with it. So, if there's something that you desire and then you will to do it, stick with it. Always remember what you're after and keep after it. It's simple. Fair weather men have little will. Successful men know what they want and never forget. I would say that's the case. There's a lot of things that I want, and sometimes I think that you have to step back and take different approaches on what you want, but you never give up on it. So that's where I stand. So develop these. So I'm going to give you a set of, how many are these? 4, 5, 6. We are going to go over 9, 12, We're going to go over 12 mental faculties that we want to develop, that are important to develop. So develop these 12 mental faculties. Number 1, continuity. This enables a man to stick to it until done. If one lacks this, they're changeable, restless, shifting, disconnected, scattered, unstable, and unreliable. Develop this with the threefold method. Do work, fight distractions, and temptations. So that was continuity. Vitality. This makes one tenacious in life. It causes one to fight death, sickness, weakness. This imparts a quality of strength and resistance that will be felt by others. Fight for life is manifested in all strong creatures, which is more regarded. So here's a good example. Which is more regarded? The cat or the sheep? The lion or the lamb? Or the lion or the sheep? So you wanna be a strong creature. 3, combativeness, courage. Resistance, opposition, courage, boldness, spirit, defiance, self-protection, determination, leave me alone, get out of my way. Those are some words associated with combativeness. Its perversion can render one a nuisance, but its lack makes one a doormat. This faculty must be well developed and well controlled. Don't be a brawler, but don't be a weakling. Destructiveness. Determination to overcome obstacles, beat down resistance, get rid of barriers, push to the front, push through the crowd, and hold your own. Must still regard others. Its perversion renders one a hated man. Acquisitiveness. There he goes. Quiet, Luke. The faculty acquisitiveness is the faculty which manifests in getting, acquiring, possessing, drawing to oneself, obtaining, and securing desired things. The perversion is miserliness and hoggishness. If one does not have and hold, he will be pushed around. Secretiveness, the faculty which manifests as policy tact, concealment, self-repression, self-restraint. Its perversion leads to deceit, double-dealing, lying, and false living. The magnetic man must have some secretiveness lest he falls into error, wearing his heart on his sleeve. Develop tact, diplomacy, cautiousness, and politeness. 7, cautiousness. This faculty manifests as prudence, watchfulness, foresight, judgment. Perverted, it leads to timidity and irresolution. Use judgment and reason to be sure one is right. 8 is approbativeness. Approbativeness. Interesting. I saw that word today. This faculty manifests in the desire for approval, praise, flattery, fame, show, and ceremony connected with one's personality. Perverted, it doesn't usually need to be developed. And I think that's funny. Self-esteem, which is number 9. The faculty of self-respect, self-reliance, self-love. Perverted, it's tyranny, superciliousness, imperiousness, egotism carried to extremes. The magnetic man must respect, value, rely on, love himself, hold his head high, look the world in the face and believe in himself, take his own place in the world, all without false modesty or shrinking. Develop the threefold method by knowing you're a center of energy, power, and strength in the universal ocean of energy. Realize that you are a man of power and of the great ocean of universal energy. Believe in yourself, for I know what you are and what you have in you. 10, firmness. The faculty of stability, fixity, decision, perseverance, tenacity, manifestation of determined will. Too much makes you mullish or stubborn. Very few have it along the right lines. Have a mind of your own and hold to what you believe is right. See your object, march straight to it, stay firm in your determination and purpose. 11 is hope. This is the faculty of expectation and anticipation, earnest expectation. Cultivate desire, develop earnest expectation, the will to act. When you can see something done in your mind's eye, you have done it in earnest. Mirthfulness, the faculty of humor, cheerful spirit. So those are the 12, that's number 12. Those are the 12 faculties that you want to develop. Now, in conclusion to this series, yay, we're coming to the end of the series. In conclusion, Using mental magic, you will manifest in the shape of currents of desire, force, and willpower, which will sweep far and wide, and near and close. You will influence and affect those within your field of induction. From these mental states will flow a strong stream of magnetism, which will tend to draw to you that which you demand and desire, and which will also tend to force and compel that which you will. You are a great center of force, which radiates from you continually. While you are asserting your individual rights, you will be doing something toward the great work of improving the race. And now my message to individuals, to those of you who want to be individuals instead of sheep, for those of you who want to be the lion and not the sheep. I send you the message of these lessons with mentative energy that is positive, with force, power, and energy to pierce the armor of indifference or doubt on I can't. May these thoughts and words, along with these deeds, reach to you, fill you with the spirit of individuality, conscious egohood, perception of reality, and realization of the higher I and the universal oneness. Like the heroes of old, may you shout out the positive cry of freedom. I can and I will. You will mow your way clear through the ranks of the horde of ignorance and negativity, and reach the heights beyond. This is my message to you, the individual. That is my series on mental magic. May God bless you.